Joy.
My name is Sarah, as Felicia told you, and today we are here with Camp Creatology to make our paper roll teddy bear character. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Sarah. I have worked for Michaels for almost 16 years, and I'm really excited to tell you that I'm actually on the team that helped create these kits. So I am super excited to be here with you today to share these with you, and I hope you guys love it as well. I'm hoping you guys have been joining us for the other weeks, and I hope you'll join us again next week. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get started with our teddy bear craft kit. So just first, I'm going to let you know, this is the box that you need. I want to make sure you've got the right box. And we do have several supplies that are listed out in our instruction book that's in your box here. We are on page 6, in case you need to get there. And I'll help you in a couple of seconds go through the box to find any material that you may be missing. But just a quick rollout of what we will need. You're going to need 3 pieces of paper, a red, a brown, and a yellow. You're going to need your blue and yellow yarn. You're going to need your scissors. You're going to need your template. It looks like this little rectangle. Then you're going to need a pencil, which is not included. So if you don't have a pencil, go grab one. And you're going to also need a ruler, which is not included. And then the rest of our materials are glue, wiggle eyes, which are going to be in the little bag with your sequins, your paper roll, of course, a black marker, which is in the set, and a yellow chenille stem. So if you guys are all ready, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move over to another camera so you can see my hands up close.
Hey, Sarah, before you do that, I have a couple of questions that's already in the chat or in the Q&A. One of our students, they're asking, do they need the template? And one of our students also like they may have already used their paper. So what would be your suggestions?
Okay, so the template, of course, is not 100% necessary, but it does make it a little bit easier. If you have the instructions, you can definitely freehand and draw out your pieces by yourself. And as far as the paper goes, we probably have some people on here today that did not buy the kit, and that's completely okay. You can make these out of any supplies that you have at home. You do not have to use the colors that you see here. You can make your characters in any color you want. You can go grab a toilet paper roll out of the bathroom if you need to do that. You're not restricted to these materials. You can get creative and use whatever you have at home on hand to make your characters. This is, of course, just inspiration. Doesn't have to be 100% like that. Does that answer everybody's question, Felicia?
Yes, ma'am. So far, so good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to go over and we're going to look at the inside of the box. So first, like I said, this is the blue box we're going to use. Camp Creatology, have fun, and we're making our little teddy bear here. So we're going to open this up. The last class that I taught last week, so if any of you were with me last week and are back this week, I appreciate that. A few of our friends had trouble finding some of the materials in the box because it was their first time. So I just wanted to kind of go through the box with you. So first, we have our instruction booklet. And this is great because obviously it has all of your instructions in it, but there's also a couple of fun things in here as well for you. We have a maze that you can do. We have a coloring sheet, and we have some super cute stickers here as well. So it's not just instructions, there's a little bit of fun in there too. So some of these materials are obviously for the other crafts throughout the week. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody can find what they need. So the first thing that we're going to look for is our paper, and that's going to be under all of this stuff here. So we're going to dig through and find our paper. And like I said, the kit calls for red, yellow, and brown. But again, if you're at home, you don't have to use those. Of course, your yarn is here. Again, the blue and the white. Your scissors, which is right here, over here on the side. And then the template is where a lot of people got stuck last week. It's actually at the very bottom over here in this little bag with the templates for all the projects for the week. And then, of course, I said your pencil and your ruler, your glue should be in that same little section right there. And like I said before, your wiggle eyes are going to be in the little bag with sequins. Your rolls were right here on top, so that should have been easy to grab. Pencils, of course, and then right where your yarn is also where you will find your yellow chenille stems. So did anybody have any issues finding that? If you did, let Felicia know, and we can go back over it again if we need to.
That is interesting because they are saying they could not find it. So if you could go over that again, that would be great.
Is there any particular thing that they could not find?
They couldn't find the white. One said the red was gone. So yeah, it appears it's the red and the white that
the red paper? Is it? Okay, so if it was the red paper and you've already used it for another craft, again, you can use any color. You don't have to stick to the red, you can use what you need. And for the white, I'm going to assume that we were talking about the templates. And again, I'm going to show you, these were tucked right at the bottom. They're going to be a little bit harder to see because they're white and the bottom of the box is white, but it should be in this little plastic bag. And there's going to be a template in there for a couple of different crafts. And our bear is on the back, just like that. Again, if you can't find exactly these things, that's okay. You can get creative. That is exactly what we're here for. So if everybody's ready, I'm going to go ahead and start moving to the next step. I'm going to move this out of the way for us. And the first thing we're going to do, as you see in step 1, is work with our brown piece of paper. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is get a piece of paper that is the correct size to go on our tube. And if you look at the instructions, it says that we need a 4 3/4 by 2 3/4 rectangle. So I'm going to grab my pencil and I'm going to grab my ruler and I am going to find 4 3/4. So here's our 4, here's 4 1/2, and here is 4 3/4. So I'm going to make a little line there for myself. And I'm going to do this. You can do this however you want. This is just how I find it easy. Make a line. And then I need 2. Oh, you know what? I did that sideways. Sorry, guys. Totally messing everybody up already. We're going to start off with 2 3/4. So here's your 2, your 1/2, and your 3/4 right there. And then this way, we need our 4 3/4. So that's right there. So we're going to cut that square out, or rectangle, sorry, I should say. So I'm going to start here. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys. I'm going to cut my rectangle out. Just like that. So we're going to start off with a rectangle. Now save these pieces because you are going to need them in another step. So then we're going to grab our tube and we need to wrap the paper around the tube. So what we're going to do next is grab our glue. And again, if you haven't done one of these with us already, there is a secret to the glue that I'm going to share with you. So you open it up, you take off the tip, and then right here on the inside is a little cap, and that's there to make sure that your glue doesn't come out in the box. So what you're going to have to do is get a fingernail or get an adult to help you, because sometimes this can be tricky, but you're going to want to get underneath the little lip and pull it out. And this one, of course, is being tricky. So as you can see, it's right there and you can just pull it out. It's just a little stopper. So I'm going to give everybody a second to do that because that's a tricky part. And then you're just going to want to go screw your little tip back on. If you can't get it, ask an adult or someone older in the house to help you because it can be a little tricky.
Hey, Sarah,
Yes,
there's some
ma'am.
questions asking, could you repeat the measurement?
Sure. It's like it says in the book, it's 4 3/4 by 2 3/4. And after we get it cut out, after we get our glue open, the next thing that we're going to do is we have to glue the paper to the tube. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue, and then I'm going to do some squiggles around the edges and then in the middle. You don't want to use too much because you want it to be able to dry pretty quickly, but you do want to make sure that you get enough on there to make sure that it sticks. And then I'm just going to line up my tube. And then I'm going to slowly, slowly, slowly glue it down. Just like that. Could be a little tricky to get it to stay. And then I'm just going to sit here and hold it for a second to give it some time to dry and to stick. Because you want to make sure that you don't just let it go and then the paper flies off. So I'm just kind of holding it tight and I'm going around and I'm making sure that the glue is sticking for us. And that's what we've got.
One of the students actually had a great idea to measure the paper to the size of the roll.
I bet it's this, isn't it? Lay it down
Mm-hmm.
and then that's your height.
Yes.
Smart kid. Would have been way easier than the way that I did it. Okay, so this is starting to dry. And now what we can do is we can just set this aside for a second because we're not going to need that right this moment. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is get your brown paper, your red paper, and your yellow paper. And like I said, if you don't have these colors, that's okay. Get creative. Your bear can be whatever color you want it to be. And we're going to need to get our white template. As you can see, it says tracing template here. And these are all of the things that you're going to need for this bear. So just take a second and pop everything out. You're not going to need these little white parts, so you can set them aside. We're just going to use the larger piece of paper as a stencil. Be careful when you pop them out. Make sure you don't want to tear the paper. Keep doing this. So if anybody on the class, was anybody with me last week when we did the lion? I'm curious if anybody came back. Or is there anybody in the class that has done every single class so far? I'm curious about that too. We're going to keep popping these out. Y'all be sure to let Felicia know if you've done all of them or if you were with me last week. So we've got all of these popped out, as you can see.
There's quite a few that say they were here. They didn't say whether or not they did all of the classes. I do see some that are asking, can you slow down though? I do just want to definitely remind everybody that this class is being recorded. So definitely if you're having a hard time following along, you can always go back and watch the recording when it becomes available, or if you would like to watch the on demand.
Perfect. Thank you, Felicia. So just to give everybody a little bit of time to catch up, what we did first is we measured out our brown paper, we cut that out, and then we glued it to our tube. So we have our tube with the brown paper. And then we've taken our template and we've just really gently punched out the parts that are perforated. So we have our stencil. I'm trying to keep this over the red paper so you can see it really well because it kind of blends in with my table. You guys forgive my table. It is a mess. This is a true craft table. In my house, we are crafters. Like I said, I've been with Michael's almost 16 years. I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old daughter. And my 13-year-old is an artist for sure. She's very artistic. She blows me away with the things that she draws and paints. And then my little one is definitely a crafter like me. And so this table is loved and beat up and painted and scratched and everything else. So sorry about that. You're getting the rough table. I am really excited about all the crafts that we have in here. Like I said before, this was definitely a project of passion for us. We worked really hard to make sure that we had some fun characters and some fun crafts for you guys. So I'm super excited that you're all here. I know sometimes on the video, like Felicia said, it's hard to keep up. So just don't forget that you can go back and watch it later and go along with the instructions in the video at the same time. So that way you can make sure you get everything right. But the important thing that I want you guys to know is that your craft doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be these exact colors, and it doesn't have to be these exact materials. If you're working with different materials at home, that is 100% okay. You can have different colors, you can have patterns, you can do different types of materials, and that's okay. The important part is that you're being creative and that you're having fun doing it, because that's why I'm here, because I want you guys to have fun. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to step 4, because I have a feeling this is going to be a step that takes everybody a little bit as well. And so for every color of paper, you're going to have different parts of the template that you need to trace. So if you look at your instructions in number 4, it shows you that for the brown paper, all that we need are his ears, his hands, and his feet. So if you look at that, we have 2 ears, 2 hands, and 2 feet. And that's all on this piece of paper, this color paper that we need to trace. So just take your pencil and just gently trace out the ears, his hands, or arms, I guess you could say. Oops. And then his little feet. I don't know about you guys, but we're here in Texas and it is super hot here. So I am very glad to have a lot of fun crafts that we can do inside to keep us out of the heat. And if you're somewhere that's having beautiful summer weather and it's balmy and breezy and nice and you can play outside without melting, I'm super jealous, because that is not where we're at right now. So I don't know if you can see it, but on my piece of paper, I do have the little lines. Oh, that's a better way to see it, where I traced it out. You can kind of see the reflection, or there with the light hitting it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go slowly and cut these parts out. If you don't have our set and you're using scissors from home, just make sure that you're asking an adult before you go grab some scissors. And if your mom or your grandma or somebody in your house quilts or does anything with fabric, do not grab their fabric scissors, because they will not be happy with you. Fabric scissors are only for fabric. So you want to make sure that you get a good pair of scissors that are okay for you to use. So I've got his first little foot. And these aren't going to be perfect, guys. And that's okay. The template is just there to help us. If you're freehanding it and you just need to make 2 little feet, then just go ahead and make 2 little ovals and that'll work just fine. Keep trimming. If you guys were here with me last week, my 13-year-old was helping me. But this week I'm all by myself. So next I'm going to cut out the arms. Really gently. And I know Felicia asked this question at the very beginning, but you guys go ahead and tell us where you're doing this. Like, where are you joining us from? I like to hear where everybody lives and is crafting with us from. Down to his second arm. I'm really hoping that everybody is going to be joining us next week for our last week of Camp Creatology. If you've been buying the kits, that is the red kit. And I believe the name of it is, Felicia, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's Hello Summer.
That is
I
correct.
good, perfect. I do regret to inform you, I will not be teaching any of those classes, but we do have a lot of great Michaels people that are going to be teaching them, that are going to be super excited to be with you as well. This is way better than sitting at my desk and answering emails, I promise you. I don't feel like we have a very talkative group this week, Felicia. Nobody wants to.
There has been a lot of people that finished the lions. There's a lot that have done all of the crafts. We do have, I'm just kind of still going through. I think someone said they didn't finish the lion, but they did get started.
That was a tricky one. I'll give them that.
Yes. We have someone from Wisconsin, New Berlin. We have some that are here from Texas. There's Nassau, Michigan, and Wisconsin. We have some from Ohio. Someone said your table is not messy at all. And then we have Jennifer, who's also crafting with her 2 grandchildren.
Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us.
So we have a little bit of everybody from all over, from Midlothian, Pasadena, from the Houston area.
Oh, yay. A good group, guys. Thank y'all for joining us. Okay, so now that I've got the brown pieces cut out, now we're going to move on to the red piece of paper. And if you look at this one, the only part that we need here are these 2 little red half circles. And these are going to be for his life preserver. So again, we're going to go really slowly and trace these and cut them out. I know the cutting part can be kind of tedious, so we're going to take our time. Put aside. Now we're just going to cut these out. I always find that when I'm cutting out small things, if I cut the paper down into smaller sections to begin with, it's a lot easier than having to cut out from the whole big piece of paper. It's my little crafting tip. Like I said, I have worked for Michaels for a while, and I'm also a crafter myself. I like to do scrapbooking, and I like to do kids crafts with my girls. We like to do some fabric crafting with the heat transfer and the infusible ink. And we like to paint. We like to tie dye around here. Gets really messy quick. We've been painting a lot of the flower pots and ceramics that we had for spring and summer, and those were a lot of fun. Right now, really anything to keep us out of the heat. Right, almost done with this little guy. I would love to hear what other crafts you guys are making this summer outside of Camp Creatology. Are you doing anything fun, anything exciting that you want to share? We all work on that. There is our little half circles for the life preserver. So I'm going to put those right up there. Move our little ears out of the way. Are you guys doing these with your friends or your cousins or your siblings, parents or grandparents or other fun adults? I hope you're getting to share the fun with somebody. Okay, our very last part of tracing is going to be on the yellow paper. And for this, all we need is the little circle for his face and the big circle for his belly. So we're going to trace this one out. This one's the easiest one, just because the pencil shows up really well on the yellow and it's so much easier to see. So after that, we're done with our template. So I'm going to set him aside. Put my garbage aside, and I'm going to start cutting my circles. And like I said, when I'm cutting something out that's small, I like to cut it down to a smaller piece because I feel like that just makes it easier. I'm going to cut out the little circle for his little nose and snout part on his face. My oldest daughter is in Canada right now, visiting some national parks up there with her dad, and she is super excited. She is convinced she's going to see a bear. I don't know how I feel about that, but she is super excited. Yesterday, a chipmunk just walked into her hand, and I don't think she had ever been happier. She couldn't wait to call me and tell me. Now we're doing his little belly part. I know I've said this a couple of times, but again, if you're at home and you're not working with these kits, these are pretty basic shapes. This is just a fat oval. This is a little bit of a smaller oval. And this is just two semicircles with the middle cut out. You don't have to have the template. You can totally freehand these. That's completely okay. So I'm going to give everybody a minute or so to catch up because I know that's a lot of cutting. I think my tube, my paper roll tube here is pretty dry now, so that's good. We've got all of our little pieces. And so this right here wraps us up at the end of step 4. So if you have your book, you can check that out. And that's where we're at right now. We have our tube, we have our brown body parts, we have our yellow body parts, and we have our red inner tube. Felicia, do we have any more questions or anybody with any challenges that they need help with?
There's not really any questions. There are some people that are responding to your previous question. There's some that are doing this craft with their brother. There's some that's crafting with their moms. I mentioned one of, we have a grandmother with her granddaughters. There's not really any questions at this moment. There was a question that was asking just in regards if there's going to be a bonus craft. I don't know really the answer on that one.
Sure, I can answer that. So every box has one bonus craft in it, and but we do not have classes for those bonus crafts, unfortunately. So those you're kind of are up to your own devices to do those. But the bonus craft for this kit is the shrink art project with our little koala in his giraffe floaty. So that is the bonus craft in this one. But like I said, unfortunately, we are not teaching classes on that, mostly because for this one, it requires an oven, which is very difficult to do a class with an oven. Because like I said, we're doing these from home. Most of us are teaching these from our houses, which is nice because it's comfortable. But yeah, that's the bonus craft for this one. Like I said, every week has one bonus craft in it. And this week is the koala shrink art. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start moving forward. And so the next thing that we're going to do is step 5. And this is where we're going to glue all of these little pieces on. So we're going to glue on, as you can see in the instructions, the ears, the arms, the belly, and the snout first. We're not doing the feet right now. Those are going to come later. So we're just doing the ears, the snout, the arms, and the belly. So we're going to start on that. My suggestion is to make sure that when you're doing this, that you have the seam where you rolled your paper together on the back, so that way you can't see him. So I'm going to make sure that's on the back, and then I'm going to start off with his ears. And I just realized that first, before we do that, it'll be easier. I think the instructions have you putting his the little black parts on his ears later, but I feel like that might be a little bit easier to do before we glue them on. So I'm going to ignore the instructions for a minute, and I am going to draw in the little black part of his ears. It's just like a little arch in there, so he has a little spot for his ears. I hope you guys don't mind me going out of order there, but as a crafter who crafts all the time, I feel like that would be easier than doing it on his body. So next I'm going to go and I'm going to start putting his ears on, and it looks like we need to put them like right in these two spots. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to do like a little dab of glue, just like that. You don't want to do too much, because then it'll slip around and it won't dry very well. And I'm going to put one ear right there, and then I'm going to do one ear over here. These don't have to be perfect. You can just kind of eyeball it and make it where you want. So there we have his ears. You can see that. Hope you guys can see that. They're just kind of glued on there. And then next, I'm going to do his little snout and his belly. So you have to keep in mind that you're going to want space for his eyes. And just like last time, his little snout is supposed to have a little nose on there. So before I glue that on, I'm going to do that. So you just do a little circle or oval. I'm going to make it a little bit more of an oval. I'm going to do that before I glue it on. So I have that done. And then you want to make sure that you leave a little bit of room for his eyes up here, because we are going to put on the wiggle eyes here in a minute. And then you're just going to put a little dab of glue right down here for his nose. Put that on. And with that, I kind of feel like our bear is starting to come together, and he kind of looks more like a bear and not just a paper roll. So I'm going to hold this down for just a second to help it dry. Since the surface is a little bit rounded, you want to make sure that it's able to stick down pretty well. And as you can see, I have a little bit of glue. I don't know if you can see that or not. I have a little bit of glue coming out the top. That's really okay, because it dries clear. So I'm just going to hold that down for another second and keep him there. And then I'm going to move on to doing his belly. So I'm going to put a little bit bigger part of glue there. And my nose is sliding. I'm going to put him there. And just as a tip, I would put the side that you marked on it with a pencil underneath, so that way you don't really see those pencil marks. And then I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to let that go. I'm going to hold it just for a minute or so it dries. Because like the nose, it's on a curve, so it'll start lifting or sliding if you don't give it an opportunity to dry. So now we have his ears, we have his nose, and now we have his belly. After we let this dry for a second, we're going to do his arms next. I'm going to lift slowly and see if maybe, okay, I feel like that's pretty good. Lift a little bit right here, so I'm going to push it back down. You want to make sure that you use enough glue so it'll stick, but not so much that it takes forever to dry. So if you look at our finished guide here, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your arms can come off. So you're not going to want to glue the arms down all the way. You're going to want to let them go like this. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take the arm and I'm just going to like pinch a little end of it like that. So I have something that I can really put the glue on, and so the arm will stick out. So if you see that, I'm going to try and get it up close. Move the bear. So that way you can see it's bent and we have something to glue. And I'm going to do that with both arms. Just going to pinch it a little bit and give us like a little section that we can glue on there. Up here. And we want to put the arms about here on the belly, like close to the belly. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. We have a little arm, so you want to make sure that you don't put too much glue here. So I have a little dot of glue. I'm going to make sure my arm is bent pretty well. And then I'm just going to stick that on like that. And just like the belly and the nose, I'm going to hold it for a second to give it a minute to really stick and not fall off. We want to give that glue just a second to like adhere. If you put it on there wonky, you have a couple of seconds to where you can adjust it. But then after that, we want to make sure that we just let it dry really well. I'm going to go over here on the other side and do the same thing. Just a little dot of glue. I'm going to make sure that I've got that little edge lip that I created. And I'm going to put that down just like that. And let that dry. Okay. Now we're going to give this a second. The next part after this is we're going to start putting together the life preserver, which are these two little parts here. And we're going to use some of our white glue. Our white yarn. Like I said, the feet go on later, so I'm going to move them off to the side so they're not in our way.
Hey, Sarah, there's a question asking, how do you have the arms? I'm not for sure exactly what they mean by how do you have the arms, but.
So what I did is I'm just going to cut out like a little piece of paper as an example to kind of show you what I did. So let's just say this is the arm. What I did is I just I'm going to move the bear so you can see the white underneath. I took a little edge of it and I just pinched it. So that way it was kind of like at a right angle or a little lip, as you can see. And then that way I could put this up against the glue so that way the arm would stand out. I hope that answers our question. But I just gave it a little bit of a like tab there to glue it down on. Okay, so next what we're going to do is that we need to glue the two pieces of the life preserver together. So they're going to overlap just slightly on the ends to make a full circle. And the good thing is here, it doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to be wrapping yarn around it anyway. So it doesn't have to be 100%. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put two little dabs of glue, like one right here, really small because this is a small piece of paper, and one right here. And then I'm going to like set them on top of each other so that way they can start gluing together. And I'm going to just move that aside to give it a second to dry. Oh, it stuck to me. Okay. So I'm just going to move that aside. And while that's drying, the next thing that they want us to do is wrap the bottom of the bear with the blue and white yarn, as you can see here. I didn't make this one. I'm not sure who made this one, but this looks really perfect. And between you and me, I don't think mine's going to be that perfect, and that's okay. So in thinking on how to make this, I felt like doing them together would be easiest, but let's see. So first we just need to unknot your yarn. You just take the two little middle sections here and kind of pull them apart. So that way it unknots. You don't want to pull it tighter. I mean, if you're having trouble getting them apart, just ask for help because it can be tricky. So then we have like two loops of yarn here, one blue and one white. So if you see, like I said, it's like blue, white, blue, white, blue, white. And that's how we're supposed to do it. But that looks intense. So what are we going to do, guys? We're just going to do the best that we can. Again, like I said before, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to see if I can find the end of the yarn. There we go. I found the ends. And I feel like what would be easiest is if we wrapped them like that together. So that way it'll be kind of perfect, like they said, at least to start with. So what you're going to want to do is start on the back so you don't see the end of your string. You can see they started right here at the bottom where your seam is on your paper. And then that's how they did that. They started it off there. So what I'm going to do is really gently is I'm just going to put a little bit of a squiggle of glue, just like to a little bit to about like underneath his arm. So it's like a quarter of the tube, because you don't want to put a lot of glue on it really quickly because then it might dry before you get to it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like hold the yarn there with my thumb, and then I'm going to start wrapping it. So as you see, I just held it really gently with my thumb, the end of it, and then I went around just to where I had put the glue. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give that a second. I'm going to push it down, because if this comes loose, then everything we do after this is going to unravel. So we just want to be really careful and make sure that we give it a good second to dry. Another thing that you could do is you could cut several lengths of yarn that go around and just do them one at a time if that's easier. So next I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put a little bit more glue. As you can see, I'm just doing like one thing of glue for both pieces of yarn because the glue comes out in a pretty thick line. So we don't need two for two pieces of yarn. I'm gonna give that a second. Let that dry. And then I'm going to go around here and finish off the back. But I'm going to go up a little bit so that way I can start the next section of the yarn. Sorry guys, I got off camera there for just a second. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to let that sit for just a second. But then I'm going to like take it and go like that. So that way I have started the next row. If you get the glue on you, it's okay. It's going to be sticky, but it'll wash off. So now we've started our second row. And what we're going to do is we're just going to keep doing that until we have several rows of yarn. And this is supposed to be like his little swim trunks. I'm sure you guys are creative and can come up with like a gazillion ways to do this better than I have. So whatever works for you is fine. We don't have to all do it the exact same way. I'm just going to keep going. and keep wrapping it. And I feel like after you get it really going and secure, you don't have to put quite as much glue on it to keep it on, because now it's like pretty stuck. And if you're doing this with several people and y'all are using the same kit, you could totally go ahead and cut out chunks of the yarn so that way you guys can all be doing this at the same time and not have to wait on each other. I'm going to get a little bit more. And this is going to go over his little belly, and that is completely okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to let him sit down, and I'm just going to pull out some of my yarn here. So that way it's not so close. Be gentle when you're like pulling your yarn apart. You want to make sure that you don't pull it too tight and end up with like a really large knotty mess. And by knotty, I don't mean like being bad, but like knots. Because that can happen really quickly.
Hey, Sarah, there's a question asking how many rows do they need?
Well, this little guy has 5 rows of white and 6 rows of yellow. But honestly, you make it look like the way that you want it to. I think the important part is that it's just enough to where you can cover his feet. So if you get to like 5 rows of blue or 4 rows of blue and you're like, okay, I'm done with this yarn wrapping, that's okay. Just make sure you've got enough there to cover your feet. The feet won't be over it. Like I've got 4 rows of each there. And my feet would probably be just fine. And I'm gonna go ahead and do, I think I'm gonna finish off this one, and then I'm probably just gonna go and do 1 more row of blue, so that way we end up with blue on top. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna cut the white, so that way we stop with the white, and then our top line will just be blue. And so our little white section ends. So I'm going to move our white out of the way. We're going to use it again in just a second for the life preserver, but we don't need it right at this moment. And keep going with your glue. I'm going to make it a little bit tighter there so we don't see quite so much of his belly through there. And then bring this to the back. And then I'm going to put 1 little last piece of glue here, so that way we can finish off our blue. And then cut that off. And then just pull him around so he finishes. So I have 1, 2, 3, I have 5 rows of glue, not quite the 6 that they have in the instructions, but I think they probably did a better job of making it pretty tight. And I made mine a little bit more loose, which is fine. So now we have our bear and his belly and his snout and his ears and his arms. And we have glued together the part of the life preserver. So I'm going to give everybody a break really quick, so that way some people can catch up. Now I'm going to grab myself a sip of water. And you guys let me know if you have any questions. We are done with the blue now, so I'm going to set him aside so he's out of our way completely. And the next thing that it wants us to do is 10 inches of white. So I'm going to take my white yarn. I'm going to grab my ruler, and I'm going to see about where 10 is. For the other yarn, it was wanting us to use about 30 inches, but for me, I felt like it was just easier to eyeball it and roll with it. But again, if you guys are working in groups and you're sharing the yarn, it's definitely the way that you can go. So that's a little bit over 10 inches. And what it wants us to do is, if you can see, we need to make this look a little bit like a life preserver. So if you can see here where it shows the yarn wrapped around, and I bet this part's going to be tricky as well. So I think the way that I'm going to go about this is I'm going to start a little bit of glue right on the back, just a dab. And start it there. So that way we have a starting point. See how it's just a little dab of glue right there to get it started? And so then it just wants us to wrap it around. So I'm going to pull it through just like that. And then that kind of helps us cover up where we glued it together. So that's why I started there, so that way we can kind of cover up that little cut where we glued everything together. I'm just going to hold that down for a second so it sticks. And then what we can do is come over here. I'm going to wrap it again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a dab of glue there. Just a little bit. And so that way when I wrap it again, it'll stick there to make our little loops. And then we can just keep looping it around. It looks like it has it every quarter of the circle. So I'm going to go again where we did our loop. I actually think I should have looped that the other way. So I'm going to pull that back out and knotted it the wrong direction. Go like this. There. Have that stick back down to that glue that I did right there. And then I'm going to do it again here. And where I put the glue right there, I'm going to make sure that it sticks there. If you see that, I'm just going to hold it there. Just like that. We have one more of the quarters that we need to do. So I'm putting just another little dab of glue. And I'm going to loop it back through again, just like that. Do that and pull it through. And let it make sure it holds right there with the glue so it doesn't slide around. And then what we can do is we can flip it over and you can cut off the remainder. If you want to wrap it some more, you can. Now the yarn's sticking to me. And I'm just going to put a dab of glue back here to hold that last little piece. So I'm going to hold that for just a second as well, just to give it long enough for that glue to really start sticking. And then when you flip it over, it looks like a little life preserver for a boat. So that's his first accessory for our bear. So if you look at the next step, which is step 8, we're going to be making his little goggles and his snorkel, and we're going to put his eyes on. So first, I'm going to put on his eyes. And like I said, the eyes are in here in the little bag of sequins, and you can just pull it apart. There's some adhesive there. Just be careful, because if you do it too hard, the sequins will go everywhere. And you need those for another project. And I'm just going to go like this until I get out some eyes. We only need 2, unless you really want to get creative and make him a pirate or something. Or maybe give him 3 eyes and he can be an alien bear. And then I'm just going to like gently like get as many of these back in here as possible. And so that way we're saving these for the sassy alligator canvas. I have to say the alligator in her swimsuit is my favorite, absolute favorite character for the summer. Okay, so what we're going to do next is the eyes. And guys, this can be a really tricky part. These eyes do have a backing on it and they are adhesive. And just because they're so small, it can be really difficult sometimes to get the adhesive backing off of it. You really just got to get your fingernail and go for it and then peel it off. And if you have a hard time with this, just ask an adult and I'm sure they will be glad to help you. So I'm just going to put his left eye right there, just like that. And then you want to do it again. I said that it was really hard and these were really easy. And the ones that I did last week, I could barely get off the backing off of it. So just goes to prove you never know. So there's our bear. His little ears, his little arms, his little swim trunks. He's ready to swim, guys. So next, what we're going to do is make his little goggles and snorkel. So the instructions don't really tell you how long they need to be. I've kind of eyeballed it, and I think we need about 2 inches for the snorkels and a little under 3 inches for the goggles, but I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra just in case. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to cut about right here for the 2. And again, these can be hard to cut as well because they do have metal in the middle of them, so that way you can shape them. So if you have trouble with that, just ask someone older or an adult. Cut that one out right there. I'm going to put the rest of this to the side. So first what we have to do is we have to shape his little goggles. So this is a part that doesn't have to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of line it up on here and figure out where I need to like bend it and where it needs to, you know, how big it needs to be. So I'm going to take this off and bend this a little bit and bend this a little bit. And then go back and look to see again where I need to bend. So it's kind of going to be like a squished up rectangle, kind of like that. And then I'm going to take the end of it, like just the very end of that, and twist it so it stays together. I'm going to double check it, make sure it looks okay. I'm going to squeeze it together a little bit more. And I'm going to put it on my bear and see, okay, I think I want it to go up a little bit more so we can see more of his little nose. So I'm going to bend that there. Perfect. So first we have that. And then we're going to make a snorkel, which if you guys have ever been snorkeling, it's going to come out of his mouth and then it's going to bend up. So that way when he's swimming underwater, he's watching the fish, looking at the shells and the coral. He has just enough of a snorkel so he can breathe. So that looks pretty good right there. So that's, I think that 2 inches is a pretty good guess on the length. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue a little bit around his eyes and underneath his ears so we can glue on his snorkel, I mean his mask, his goggles. So I'm going to do like that, just a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. You just kind of dot it. And if you get strings of glue across, you can always pull those over. off later, so that's okay.
Hey, Sarah, just really quick while you're doing that, if you can kind of go over how you did the life preserver, someone is asking.
Sure. I'm gonna hold this for just a second so it starts to stick. And so for the life preserver, you go back to the very beginning of the life preserver, it's the two little circles. So the first thing that we did was we cut out the two half circles, look like kind of like macaronis, and then we glued them together to make a full circle. So that's the first step. You're going to take your two pieces of bread, glue them together, and make a full circle. And then next, what you're going to do is you're just going to take the yarn and loop it through. So it kind of looks like this. It's like mine's not perfect. It doesn't look exactly like that. But all I did was take the yarn and just like loop it through. So I did that, hold it to it, and then just loop it through the circle and pull it through and make it go all the way around. If you want to go all the way back around again, you can. But it was just basic looping of yarn. And then where I wanted it to stick, I would put a little dab of glue to help the yarn stay right there so it didn't shift. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so I'm going to go back. We have glued down our goggle mask. I got a little bit of glue on his eye, so I'm going to rub that off. And then the next thing that we're going to do is glue down his snorkel. So basically, you're just going to want to do a little line just like that. You don't want it to be too long because you want the snorkel to be able to go up. So I'm going to take his snorkel and I'm just going to hold it down to where I have the glue. And like everything else, I'm just going to hold it for a second so that way it gives a chance for the glue to work. I'm holding and I'm holding. And ta-da. Okay, so we have his goggles, his snorkel. We're going to put his little life preserver on his arm, just like that. And last but not least, we get to glue on his feet. So we're going to put his feet on about like that. And so because this is on yarn and it'll absorb a lot of the glue, you're going to want to put on a little bit more glue than you would the other parts to help it stick. Like normally I'll just say just a little dab because it's on paper, but since this is on yarn, it will absorb some of it. So you want to make sure that you put enough on there to where it really sticks. So we have his foot and we have his foot and we have our snorkeling bear. So last week I named my lion Leo the lion. So does anyone have any suggestions of what we should name this guy? They're twins. They have twin brothers. I'm thinking maybe Barry the bear, or maybe that's too silly. Bob the bear. You guys let me know what you want to name him.
So I'm showing Cleo, Barry, Benny, Ted and Fred, Bill, Oscar. There's Leo. I think they're putting Brian. I think is a name. There's a Jason.
I think I'm going to go with Benny, Benny the bear. For any of you guys that are in middle school or high school or a little bit older, I like the alliteration where you've got the ba. So Benny the bear. That's why I named last week Leo the lion, because I like the alliteration or the copying of the letters from name to name. Okay, so while you guys are still looking here at my hands, let Felicia know really quickly if there's anything that y'all need me to show you again. I can't go back and recreate the whole bear, but if there's like a little something that you just need a little bit of extra help with, let Felicia know real quick and I'll try and circle back and cover that the best that I can.
So someone did ask about the snorkel.
Snorkel, okay, perfect. So the snorkel, like I said, I measured it off and I just eyeballed it. and it looks like it was about 2 inches. So the first thing that I did is I took the chenille stem and I just cut it to 2 inches. And then really, I just bent it at like a 90-degree angle or a straight angle like that, just like that. And then you can kind of curve it out a little bit to make it look a little bit more realistic. And then what I did is I just put a little bit of glue at the bottom of his nose and mouth and a little bit of glue here, and then just laid that on there and held it. Again, like the yarn, because this has like chenille on it or this soft stuff, it's going to take a second for it to stick. So it's not like paper that's going to stick really quickly. You're going to have to give it a second of holding it down with the glue for it to get a good stick and stay on there. Okay, so there are our 2 bears.
There was one question about the preserver. How did you thread the life preserver?
Let me see if I can find a good example. I'm trying to find something I can work with again. So really what I'll just take this one off. Really what I did is I took the yarn and I put a little dab of glue on the back, right where one of my seams was, just because I didn't like the seam and I wanted to cover it. And so then I glued that little edge down just like that. And I held it for a second so it would stick. And so then the next thing I did is I just looped it through the middle of the preserver and pulled it back through. And then I figured out where I wanted it next. So then I decided I wanted it to come through about a quarter of the way around the circle. So I put a little dab of glue there and I looped it through again. And again, I held it there for just a second where I had my dab of glue so it would stick there. And then I just kept doing that all the way around. I'm just gonna kind of like recreate it a little bit. And then last time I put a little bit of glue there again and held it down. And then I just trimmed it off and glued it on the back. So really, I was just looping it through, back and forth. Pull that back out. I hope you guys are able to see that. I know these are really small, so sometimes it's hard to see the details of what we're doing. And then just to put him on the bear, I didn't use any glue or anything. I just looped it on his hands or his arm, and he's like that. Felicia, do you feel like that covers all of the questions that we had?
I believe so.
Okay.
Because we're over time now.
Okay. So let's just real quick go back to the front view, if you don't mind, Felicia. So again, here's our bear. We did great. You guys were a great audience. Thank you. I appreciate y'all's patience. Don't forget, next week we have the last week of Camp Creatology. It's the red box. If you haven't bought it yet, it is Hello Summer. So a lot of fun crafts in it. There's going to be a lot of fun teachers again next week. And like I said last week, if you were with me, we want to see what you made. So make sure that you give your parent or your guardian or your grandparents to put it on social media for us so that way we can see all of your creations. If you didn't use our materials and use other things, we want to see that as well. We really want to see your creativity. And to make sure that we get to see that, we have 2 hashtags that you can use on your social media posts to make sure that the Michaels social team can grab those. I'm going to show you those really quick. It's hashtag Make It With Michaels and hashtag Michaels Classes. So please share with us. We love to see your art. You guys inspire us to do more and to do better crafts and to bring fun things to you throughout the year. So thank you guys for your participation today. We were so happy to have you, and we hope to see you on some more classes soon. And you guys have a great day.